How's it going? Adam Drake here, and today I want to talk about a feature on the HOBBYWING XR8 Pro G3 ESC. Actually, this is a setting that HOBBYWING uses for pretty much all their ESCs or competition ESCs. So it would be on the XR10 G3 as well. But I hadn't used this feature until recently, so I just wanted to talk a little bit about it and kind of share my experience. So the setting is called Coast, and again, for some of the companies out there, I don't believe they have this feature. This is something with HOBBYWING that allows you to just really fine-tune the settings on your ESC to maximize performance on track. So here I have my nitro buggy, and you can see that when I roll the tires, they roll really free. There's no drag. And with an e-buggy, if I were to put the tires on and do the same thing, it wouldn't roll. So if I just grab the axles here and turn it, you can see there's a little bit of force, and that's because of the rotor magnet. There's just a little bit of additional drag. It's not as free as a nitro car when you just go to spin the drivetrain. So with the Coast feature, for me, I've never used it just because I actually run a little bit of drag brake with my e-buggy. And the thing with drag brake is it doesn't kick in until you get to neutral. So when you roll off the throttle, once you get to neutral, there is a little bit of additional drag on the brakes that comes from the ESC. So the ESC is basically telling the motor to slow down slightly faster than what just the natural state of it's slowing down. So if you have zero drag brake, it's going to slow down just at its natural state because of the rotor and just that resistance from the magnets. So we talked a little bit about in one of the more recent videos about freewheeling and how freewheeling you can adjust to where it starts to have a little bit more resistance or braking even before you get to neutral. Now with Coast, again, this is a feature I never used until just recently at HRCR. I actually used it when racing modified sprint car on the dirt oval. So with the Coast feature, if you were to drive your car, or if the car was on a car stand and you give it throttle with no drag brake, and you give it throttle, you let off, it's going to coast on its own. But again, because of the rotor and magnets, it's going to naturally just have some resistance and slow down. Well, with the Coast feature, it basically will, in a sense, almost like decrease that rate of slowing down. So it's almost going to be as if the throttle stays on slightly longer to reduce and slow down how fast the car slows down. So for me, I didn't really kind of understand this setting. I'm like, why would you want that? You know, between freewheeling and drag brake, I can set my brakes, and I've always been happy, able to make the car feel how I want it to. Well, when running Mod Sprint Car, there was a lot of grip, and we had the car set up to have a lot of steering. So when you would basically roll off the throttle or go to get into the corner, the car would kind of be really aggressive at times, which was good when the grip was good and the rear end could hold it. But if the track had any inconsistencies, or the front end was starting to bite a little bit more, it would almost make the car a little bit loose getting into the corner. So after talking with Brian and some of the guys, they were like, well, you know, what's your Coast setting at? And I'm like, I believe it's just at 0, just because, again, I hadn't really played with that setting much before. So they said, you need to play with that for the track conditions. So I started turning the Coast up and realizing that the car wasn't as throttle sensitive getting into the corner. So I think this is something that if we're on a really, really high bite track, or as the grip comes up, and if your car starts to get more aggressive off throttle getting into the corner, you should be able to turn up your coast, and it's just going to make it smoother, carry a bit more rolling speed getting into the corner, and not make the front too aggressive or kind of overpower the rear of the car. So for Mod Sprint Car, this was a game changer for me. It made it to where I felt a lot more racy around other cars. I could really position the car getting into the corner much better. Again, it made it to where the car didn't transfer as much weight as violently, so it made it smoother, carried just a much smoother arc through the corner and more rolling speed through the corner. So it's something I'm definitely going to play with more, not only on 8 scale, but also when I run 10 scale. Because nowadays most 10 scale tracks are really high bite, especially with the glued surfaces. I think it's going to just be a nice tuning option to be able to get the car to roll through the corner, have a bit more corner speed, and not be as kind of steering sensitive when getting into the corner or rolling off the throttle. So I would recommend to start, you probably could just start with like maybe 2 to 3% of coast. On the oval, I actually turned it up all the way to 15%, and that made the car again just really, really nice and easy to drive. I don't think that you would want to run it that high for most off-road applications, but in oval, where again when you're rolling off the throttle, having it almost keep a little bit of throttle on just allows it to roll through the corner and just allowed me to produce not only faster lap times, but much, much more consistent lap times for oval. So I know oval is a really big segment, so this is something, even though it's kind of outside of my wheelhouse, maybe this is something you oval guys could try out. And again, I'd appreciate if in the comments, maybe you guys already use coast and you can kind of share some of your experience and what percentages you like for the different applications of off-road and oval racing.